Live for this time of year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, hop in the truck.
Where are we going?
Going to pick up sap.
So now, what's this we're looking at here?
Right here this is one of the pump houses. This is the one that we call Maxon Pump House.
And you built all this, didn't you?
Everything's done by us.
That's awesome. All right. So what are you doing now?
Normally this is my boy's job. He does all the hooking and unhooking. And he's coming right now.
Oh, okay, good.
Here comes my help. If you weren't riding with me, he normally rides with me, but
Nice vehicle.
yeah, I got lucky. My wife let me buy a new toy.
That's super nice.
Get her hooked up.
So you doing?
Pick up your feet. Stick it up in there. You ain't up in there yet. There you go. Get the ear out. There you go. Open the valve. Okay. Time to go start the pump.
All right. Here.
Everything comes into this location out of the woods. So the vacuum pump is in here. This is what we're drawing the artificial vacuum with. These are an oil vein pump, very efficient. Right now we're drawing 15.3 amps. Everything we run is three-phase. Yeah, these pumps are all three-phase. So what we do, these are an inverter. So we're taking single-phase power and we're generating a third leg for three-phase. So they're more efficient to run. This runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from now till the end. There's 3,600 in here. And this is the releaser, and right now we're sitting at 28, just over 28 inches of vacuum.
How do you tell? Does it tell you?
There's a gauge right here.
Okay, good, gotcha. Wow.
In perfect world, absolute vacuum varies from day to day, depending on the barometric pressure.
But, I mean, ideally, that's what you're...
Ideally, 28 inches is about all we can get right here.
Wow.
With our elevation from sea level. And
Right.
so this is the holding tank. Everything comes in. This tank holds 4,000 gallons.
Wow. And, I mean, has it been full?
Oh, yeah.
It has. So there's sap in there right now? Oh my gosh. That's what?
That's
75% full.
That's a given day. I'm emptying this tank twice a day.
And this is exactly what it looks like when it comes out of the tree?
Yep, nice and clear. And
Yeah, it's way clearer than I thought it would be.
Yep.
What did I think it was going to be? Like sludgy brown?
looks just like water.
Wow, it does. I mean, you would really never know. You can see right down to the bottom. Oh, it's funny. I thought it was going to... So now what are you going to do?
We're going to start the pump and start loading sap. Green one. And same thing here, I'm running a three-phase pump, so we're just let go. You only got to push it.
Wow. So three-phase, and you're gonna pump this whole tank out?
This whole tank will go on that truck. So right now the sap's running not too bad. If you can,
what we see in here.
If you can see inside there, back up right.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to come in for you, but
that's awesome.
that's the incoming sap.
Oh, that looks great.
And right today they're not running the greatest because they haven't frozen 4 days.
Okay.
So they're not running. We need the freeze and thaw. A couple of days, it's all right. But
so you need that freeze, thaw,
Freeze thaw.
Right?
Yep.
That's what happens.
Yep. That freeze resets the trees, and without that, your sap production goes way down.
I see. Right, because Manny was saying that about when we were talking before. Now,
this is the same thing. This is a releaser. This is an electric extractant. So inside, it's got a deep well pump in the bottom.
right.
That once this thing fills up, it kicks the pump on and pumps it over into the tank. And I'll manually kick it on so you can see it. So with this white pipe, you'll see it dumping in there. When it's really running, this thing will dump every 2 minutes.
Really?
Well, and that's pumping about 15 gallons every time it dumps.
You know, and out of the line, but I didn't think the sap was that clear, that pure.
Well,
It's out of the tree.
looks just like water. When sap comes out of the woods like today, it's like 1.3 to 2% sugar.
Right.
When it's finished syrup, it's 66%. And then we hold water, clean RO water here all the time. Every day when I empty the tank, it gets washed. Every night when it freezes up, the releaser gets washed. So now we get to go to the woods and you get to see how to drill a hole.
I love to. That's the start of the whole.
That's the start of the whole operation.
Now, where you drill the hole, is that a whole science in and of itself?
It is. We're gonna go for a ride because we actually got to go up into the woods. I kept one main line separate.
So this is brand new? What is it?
I got it for Christmas.
Ah, it's a Christmas gift. It's a great Christmas gift. The other one just beat.
We had a Kubota RTV 500, but I'm getting too big that I need multiple machines, one in each woods.
So you consolidate those lines, right? They kind of all run into smaller lines, run into bigger lines, that type of thing?
Yep. Yep. I'm going to show you a few different aspects of different ways that tubing is put in. And we got miles
Really?
of tubing.
Well, yeah, you showed me out back. You have. I mean, couldn't you potentially just have a business running lines for people?
You could, if you could find enough people that.
That would need it on it. Well, the maintenance on it's got to be.
Well, the big thing is finding help. Nobody wants to do this kind of work because it's labor intensive.
Sure. It looks kind of fun, though, you know?
I love being in the woods. It's peace and quiet.
Sure. It's awesome out here, though. You see all the lines running everywhere? It's pretty crazy. Now, I got an obvious question. Do deer get trapped in these?
Very rarely.
No.
They're pretty smart. They either go over them or they go under them.
But they know not to.
Now, like right here, this tubing right here is the oldest tubing in this woods. This is about 7 years old. There's 3 lines here. This upcoming summer, these will come out. I'll re-thin this section and take out the garbage trees to try to promote the healthier sugar maples, or in this case, soft maple. This woods is about 50-50, hard maple to soft maple ratio. We try to keep a diverse woods and promote the nicer trees. You want to get rid of the nut trees because they attract squirrels, and squirrels are your worst nightmare.
Because they're just going to chew through.
They chew through 5/16 like it's candy.
Wow. And it's got to be like soda pop.
Oh yeah.
You know?
They love it.
So, and there's no way to really combat that, right?
The only way to get rid of that is to get rid of their food source.
Yep.
And that's the nut trees.
That's what they're trying to do. So they're just not going to come into an area like this.
Nope.
Right?
And unfortunately, it's been so wet that my driveways are taking a real beating.
I can't believe how this thing handles.
Oh, yeah,
This
that's
is
nice.
awesome. How smooth it is. And it just takes everything.
And it's nice because I can do 70 miles an hour down the road.
Can you really? Yeah. What's this, 70? Oh,
This thing hauls.
it's a car. Amazing how it can handle this.
This is my mode of transportation this time of the year.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. They're just completely made for this type of abuse too, right?
Oh yeah.
So now these lines, they don't, I mean, over the course of time, just plastic through the weather degrade at all? As far as the temperature differential?
Usually it's not in the woods long enough because we're switching out lines every 7 to 10 years.
Okay. So it'll just get to the point where it starts to get...
Mainly because that's when we're doing our thinning rotations. So we try to do a section of woods every 2 years. That way you don't have to do the whole thing all in one time.
Right.
So now we're gonna learn how to tap a tree.
Awesome. All right. This whole thing. I think that's all it is.
This is what we call the drop line. From here to here, we bring that in every year,
Okay.
and we sanitize them
We did.
in a chemical.
Every single tree. So
Every
50,000 of them.
Yep, we bring them in. We got an old milk tank that we put a reel in, and we put them on there with a cleaning agent. It's basically just a chemical. They use it in food processing plants.
Right.
That way it ensures this is the most critical part of the whole drop. Because the tree, as it freezes, will actually suck sap back up this and back into the tree.
It will. So it'll just pull. Well, I think you were telling me that actually.
Yep.
Yep.
When that thing starts to freeze, it wants to suck that sap back in that tree. So with this being clean, this ensures that we can get 13 to 16 weeks of production time out of this tap hole.
Right. With no delay or no issue.
Years ago, you could never do that. 6 weeks, maybe 8 at the most.
Maximum.
And that tap hole was closing up.
Yeah, but how long does it take for 15,000 taps?
Oh, we spend about a month and a half
Good God.
washing at the end of season.
My other question is, for anyone, this would be chaos and confusion. How do you designate what you've cleaned, what you haven't cleaned? Is it by set? I mean, do you mark them somehow?
Well,
Or you take a full field, like from a certain section?
we don't clean any other line other than the drop line.
Right.
So what these things are, is this thing's actually got a quick connect on it.
Okay.
So once we're done, we come in, we pull the drop,
Okay.
and we take it in and clean it.
Okay.
Next year, we come in, we do our tubing pickup.
Oh, I see.
We make sure everything's picked up.
I see.
Then right after deer season, typically about the 1st of December,
Okay.
we go back through and we put all these back in again.
So it's just, I mean, when they're taken, they're gone.
Yep,
So
they're out of
you
here.
obviously know where you've been and what you've done.
You know, and what we're looking for is this section we just started tapping in here about a year ago.
Okay.
So there's not a lot of tap holes here, but this is an old tap hole. So ideally, this is your gauge.
Okay.
You want to stay at least that far away above. You never want to be right above it or right below it, because it actually stains the wood.
Okay.
So this little section of the tree is stained. You will not get any production out of it.
Really? It's just kind of almost dead to the production.
Yep.
Correct.
But as this tree grows, this will grow with
Wow.
it.
Right.
It'll grow up.
Okay.
And in a young, that's why I tend to tap a little higher.
Okay.
So I don't lose my good wood. It
I
keeps
see.
growing faster than what I can tap it.
So a lot of guys will tap low?
A lot of guys tap basically breast height. They're tapping between right here and right here.
Okay. That it's just more advantageous to shoot above that.
Well, these trees here will never become log trees. What a lot of guys are looking at is when they go in, they're going in, they're logging their woods, they're getting that extra crop out of it, they're making more money that way.
Right.
This woods will never be logged,
Period.
period. If this tree comes out, it gets turned into either firewood,
Right.
or we actually saw them and turn it into tap hole maple wood.
Oh, really?
That's what's in our shop, all the trim is all tap hole maple.
Did you have it somewhere? Did you take it to get milled somewhere? Or?
Yep, yep.
That's awesome.
So, DeWalt drill,
All right.
a specialized drill bit. Pretty simple.
And it's literally for trees.
Yep, this is specific drilling for trees.
That's it?
That's it. Stick the tap in.
No way.
You hear that dent? That tap is tight. I typically, one more tap past when you hear that sound.
And that's it.
Yep. Right now, when there's no snow on the ground, or very little, 6 to 8 inches, we're averaging 1,000 to 1,200 holes a day drilling.
Wow. And you've got your first little drip, I saw. Actually.
Yep. Let's grab this one here. And I'll let that one run so you can see it.
It'll just come right out.
Yep. Usually takes it a minute or two.
Sure. We'll get in there though.
Here it comes.
Look at it. That's quick. I mean, the other one, as soon as you put the tap in, it was good. It's coming out, right?
It's because this is a hard maple. That last one I drilled was a soft.
I see. And hard maple's like a pretty valuable wood anyways, right? If you were to cut this down.
Yep. And what we're working on right now, the trees that are out beside our sugar house are actually what they call a soft maple super sweet.
Okay.
We're planting them. I'm hoping to plant about 2,500 of them, which will equal having 5,000 taps out in the woods like this.
Production quality.
Production.
Exactly.
Instead of getting 2%, these guys are averaging between 6 and 8%.
Wow.
On a tree.
Wow. They're a lot more expensive. I mean,
no, they're about $20 a tree to buy.
Right.
But I always thought it would be cool to have a grown forest and be able to maintain it and do it ourselves. And
that's awesome. Well, those are the preferred tree, or no? What you would ideally want, or?
It's what I would like, because you gotta do half the labor to get the same amount of production.
Sure.
So I'm gonna show you another thing. Now, about 15 years ago, I put one of these in, and I was the first one in New York State that had ever played with trying to pick sap from one elevation to another.
So this didn't happen?
This didn't happen. We were the first ones to ever do this. Cornell University came in and did a program on it. Right here, we're actually using the vacuum to lift these 100 trees that normally we wouldn't get, because they're lower than what we can get back to our pump house.
So you can't pull it.
You can't pull it, so what we're doing is we're actually using the vacuum to suck it up and drop it in another line to get it high enough so that it'll go down to the pump house.
Holy cow.
This woods here has 4 of these in it. And what we call them, they're a sap ladder.
How did you come up with that term?
We heard about it from somebody else, but nobody had ever done it. And we had a woods that we needed to lift sap about 25 feet.
Sure.
So we put one in, and it actually works pretty slick. So you can see the sap getting lifted up through the 5/16 lines.
That's awesome.
If I want to really make it run.
What did that do? Just release more?
It just gave it a shot of air. So now they'll really start rocking and rolling.
Holy cow. So now is this like a thing that you invented that's now kind of industry standard, or?
Not really. A lot of guys use them. These bigger equipment companies have come out with what they call a reverse slope releaser or a sap lifter.
Okay.
These things are maintenance free. You put them in, you forget about them. Sap lifters and reverse slope releasers, you got to build a little building out here because you got to keep them in a warm building.
I see. So the difference between this is the fact that it's
this is effort. Just put it in here and done.
There's no maintenance. There's no cost other than the initial cost of the pipe.
And then you can build this thing for about $60. A reverse slope releaser is like $1,500.
Whoa. Oh my gosh, that's a huge cost savings. And I can see why they would come in, and I mean, because that's your bottom line, like how much.
We don't get the max production off these trees because of this.
Right.
But we don't care because otherwise
gonna get it
we
anyway.
wouldn't tap it anyway.
Yeah.
So we're getting something out of it,
Right.
which is better than nothing.
Yeah. That's fantastic. How awesome is that?
So you can actually see the sap
Yeah, you
coming
can
down
see
that
it like
one.
coming right through, right?
And that one's kind of quick.
Right.
So chances are there's a vacuum leak on it someplace.
Oh, it's not supposed to be that quick. Oh, look at that.
The minute I did that,
Yeah, it slowed right
slowed
down.
it way down. Vacuum leaks are our biggest nightmare.
It's pretty common just because.
Yep. Between squirrel chews, wind damage,
Right.
it's a never-ending battle. We're in the woods almost every day when the sap is running.
Trying to fix stuff.
We try to maintain 28 inches of vacuum day in and day out.
Dude, on 15,000 trees, it's out of control.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
That's out of control.
I run this entire woods in a day by myself. I can check every line in here by myself. With the way that we have it set up, every line, every main line is segregated off so that as we're walking the main trunk line,
Right.
so this line here would be a main trunk line that is going down to the pump house.
Okay.
This is a lateral line. If I want to check the vacuum on this, I shut this valve.
Okay.
I give it about 2-3 minutes,
Okay.
and then I open it back up. If I hear air rushing through here, it means this line has got a leak.
And you gotta find it.
If I don't hear nothing, I just keep walking the main line until I find one
You
that's
finish it. And
until I find one that's leaking. This saves us a ton of time because we're not walking every
you have
individual
junctions,
line.
Right? Yeah, you can hit it right from here.
Yep.
Right? So if you get that, now is that new too? Is that like a new idea? Or,
Guys started here in the last 8-10 years really putting valves in. It's costly.
I'm sure. I mean, a valve,
Everything is all stainless. Valves are like 20 bucks a piece,
but it's time, labor.
but it's time and labor.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Dude, this is really cool to see this.
miles and miles and miles of tubing.
It's kind of crazy looking, really, when you look at it. You just don't know. If you didn't know what this was, what is going on? And the junctions and the way that you've got this all laid out, there's no schematic. This is all just your experience figuring out like where we need to have a junction, where we need to.
Everything, what we try to do, like our mains, we try to keep them about 50 feet apart. Other guys will push them to 100 feet.
Right.
You're basically working with the lay of the land. So however the lay of the land is what you're working with.
I see.
You're trying to keep your main lines in the low-lying areas. Obviously, this woods is not an ideal woods,
Right.
because the bottom part of this woods is so flat. We have an issue getting it back to the pump house.
I see. Because you need a gradient, right?
We try to maintain 1 to 2% grading on lines.
And nobody's doing this with you? You said you got some help occasionally, but guys can't.
I got a part-time guy that helps me in the fall for about a month and a half,
Wow.
and basically me and my wife.
Fall, it's a really cool job, and on top of the fact that you get to be out inside the woods all the time, it's really,
It's the best office to have.
yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
And let me tell you, next week when it's 10 degrees out,
Well,
it ain't the best office to have.
But yeah, you get a couple bad weeks, I'm sure, like everybody else. But wow, it's a beautiful property too, actually. And you have to know this, like you know that tree well. You know all of this, like I would know a house.
And
block,
it's
right. Very
a
simple.
lot of people look at you and they're like, how do you even know where you drilled that tree a year ago? I know every tree that I drill because I drill them.
Right.
I got another guy that helps me once in a while. This year he helped me drill one day.
That was it.
Basically, I drill every hole. My wife doesn't drill because at the start, if you don't have a good tap hole, you got nothing.
So the tap hole, it's like any other. There's a art to it.
It is.
Craft, like to knowing exactly where to put that hole. But can you read a tree? Like, how would you do that? Or like, in other words, what is it by the diameter, the height, its proximity to other trees?
And really right here, I can show you. This is a nice, good hard maple.
Right.
So probably on my next thinning program, this soft maple that is behind it will come out.
Just gonna pull it.
We tap that even though it's not a very good tree.
Right.
We tap it, knowing that we're going to take it out.
I see.
You're trying to get like a 30-foot spacing between trees so that these trees have nice big crowns on them, because that's where the sugar's made.
Oh. So the crown is what you're looking for.
Yep. You want all the branches on the tops of the trees.
So the sugar is produced up there.
Yep.
And it's pulled down into the trunk.
Yep.
And you're trying to find like the perfect spot to get the most efficient tap.
We have actually gone out this time of the year when I know that I'm going to do a thinning.
Right.
See, like these trees right here behind you, them trees are all too close together.
Okay.
So I might come in here when I got time, if I know I'm going to thin this, and I'll actually check the sugar in each one of them trees and say, okay, this one's 1.2, this one's 1.7. Well, I'm going to keep the 1.7, get rid of the 1.2.
Wow. You just know.
And you know, we try to stay in the 8 to 10 inch diameter range and bigger.
Reason, because the sap production of anything smaller is just not.
It's not there. And number two, with us being organic, we have strict guidelines that we have to go by.
Okay.
Anything under 10 inches, we technically cannot tap it. They allow us to if it is what we call a cull tree. If we're going to cut it out, then we can tap it.
If it's wasted, then you might as well use it, right?
And then they're pretty good about it. So.
Right. Now, do they come in annually during your season? And
Yep, they come in while we're up in production, and they inspect the woods, they inspect the pump houses, the sugar houses.
Wow.
Make sure everything is the way it's supposed to be.
Do you step them through the property, or do they just come by themselves?
Nope, we bring them right out and take them around. And
dude, this is awesome out here. It really is. It's really beautiful.
If you just stand here, all you hear is running water.
That's here. Some have done. Right.
I couldn't ask for a better place to be.
Yeah, it's true.
It's been a lifelong dream to do what I'm doing.
Now, does your dad still come out?
Nope. My dad, 9 years ago, he actually went down on me in this woods and had to have a pacemaker put in.
About that, right? I'm sorry. Yeah, you told me, right?
Unfortunately,
got yelled at.
Days like today, I would let him come out if I was here.
Right.
If he wants to come out and walk around, but no, as far as doing any woods work, he doesn't really help much anymore.
Gotcha.
He's our sugar house guy. We keep him busy in there.
I'm sure. It's the whole thing.
You're here. You want to try drilling one?
Yeah, let me drill one. You can hold this and